Hello, and welcome to Spirit Among Us. Ephesians chapter 2, verse 4. But God, being rich in mercy, because of the great love with which He loved us. Over the past couple of weeks, we've been looking in great depth at the first 3 verses of Ephesians 2. There, Paul talks about how we as people are truly in a fallen state. We are without God, and we are helpless without God. We lived our lives in disobedience to Him, followed the plans of His enemy, and we were actually the object of His wrath. But for those of us who know Christ, we know this isn't the end of the story. God wanted something much better than to just bring judgment upon a fallen mankind. Instead, He has set up this display of salvation, and He has made a way for us to escape the coming disaster. And this great gift all started with the rich mercy of God. We can see many examples of God withholding His judgment and wrath from His own people throughout the Old Testament. He had a lot of mercy and patience with the nation of Israel. If you spent any length of time reading through the Old Testament, then you know that this Jewish nation was far from perfect. They did have great seasons of obedience to God, where the kingdom flourished and His blessing rained down on them, but they also had seasons of total sinfulness, where God instead withheld His divine favor from them. But one thing that is amazing to see is how patient God revealed Himself to be in the way He treated the Israelites. They would start to turn away, and He would give them a warning. They would turn away more, start ignoring some of His commands, and He would give another warning and wait. Sometimes it would get to the point where many people in the nation weren't even serving God at all, but were instead devoted to idolatry and sin. And yet, even in many of those times, God demonstrated His patience and mercy with them. But perhaps the most dramatic of these moments was when Israel had turned away entirely, when the whole nation was wrapped up in the evil of this world. In those moments, God would usually let them feel some of His wrath and His discipline. He would usually take some time to punish them. But afterward, we would see the true mercy of God. Because despite all they had done, despite how far they had fallen and how far they had turned away from God's holy commands, He would still restore them to Himself. He would accept them back with open arms. When they finally cried out to Him for mercy, when they finally cried out to Him to be restored, He would show His mercy freely. And it's for this reason, this great mercy that God showed the Israelites, it's for this reason that the author of Lamentations can make this claim about God's mercy. Lamentations chapter 3 verses 22 and 23. The steadfast love of the Lord never ceases. His mercies never come to an end. They are new every morning. Great is your faithfulness. The great news about God is that He never changes. Israel had changed. They had stopped serving Him. They had turned away. But God's mercy hadn't changed. And this can be translated into the modern day as well. God's mercy is rich and great, and He bestows it richly on us. His mercies are so vast and wide that we can confidently say that His mercies never will come to an end. There's a hymn that I've really fallen in love with. Grace that is greater than all our sin. I think it captures the true beauty of God's infinite mercy. No matter how deep our sin is cut into us, no matter how bruised and scarred and beat up we are, His grace and His mercy run infinitely deeper. There is no sin too great for God's mercy to cover. Thank God for His rich, unending mercy. Thank you for watching, and God bless.